Hello, my name is James, and I have autism. I make weekly videos on this channel about autism and how people with autism can cope with various challenges we face, as well as educate society about what autism is by debunking all the myths and exposing the reality of what autism really is. In this video, I'm going to talk about common struggles many people on the autism spectrum commonly deal with, and that is talking on the phone. I often never like talking on the phone. I personally am not the type of person who minds talking to close, trusted friends on the phone. In fact, I enjoy that, and I have talked several hours before with friends in the past. And I have talked several hours straight with friends in the past before. However, the part of talking on the phone that I do not like is making important phone calls that deal with important matters. When I talk about important phone calls, I'm talking about the kind of phone calls where you have to call your bank because your account got freezed, or you have to call the DMV, a court, a student loan office, or call the UPS because something wasn't shipped properly. These are the type of phone calls that I struggle with. I'm sure many of my fellows who have autism, or if you're someone who knows someone with autism, I'm sure you can definitely agree that this is also a struggle too. I signed up for Uber Eats to make more money delivering food. However, when I signed up, there was an issue with my insurance, which would involve me calling customer service. Nobody likes calling customer service because it isn't fun, but for me, as a person with autism, it is beyond that due to my struggles with making phone calls in general. So I decided to wait until the afternoon when my wife got off work for lunch so I could make the phone call more confidently, because I knew she could possibly help answer any questions in case they would arise during the phone call. Why do people with autism struggle with making these kind of phone calls where you talk to customer service reps, for example? Well, the first reason why many people like me with autism struggle with making phone calls, such as talking with customer service reps, is because it involves having to articulate things very well. Certain situations that involve talking to customer service reps to get help involves having to explain an issue clearly, precisely, and brief. This can be hard for people that need to take time to explain things instead of being put on the spot. I can explain things very well when I take my time. For example, if I can write an email, I could explain things beautifully and clearly after doing a bit of a post-editing and revision. However, when I need to explain something, especially something that is important, that involves a lot of detail on the spot, it can cause me to freeze up or not explain things that well, or cause me to not explain things well as I could and miss important detail. This can be stressful. Secondly, many important phone calls often involve having to listen to important information and getting that information accurately. It is easier to make sure you understand what a person is telling you in person because you can take your time, write the information down, and ask further questions. However, on the phone, it is harder to do that because they can't see what you're doing. It is more stressful to keep a representative waiting on the phone for the fact that they can't see what you're doing. There's also the chance that they might assume that you're being rude or you lost connection, and then they'll hang up. So there's more pressure to understand what is being told right on the spot. So there is more pressure to understand what is being told to you on the phone than in person. There's more of a tendency to rush to get it right. Many things a person on the phone may tell you may involve several steps, and it could be harder to get all the information through the phone. There's a chance I might miss a piece of information that is important and not even realize it. The third reason why making an important phone call can be hard for people with autism is when a customer service rep asks additional questions. I may find when a rep asks me questions, I find I struggle when I get asked questions, especially when it's a question I don't know the answer immediately. I have trouble answering them and sometimes end up not answering them at all. The reason why this happens is kind of like what I talked about earlier when comprehending information. There's more pressure for me to answer that question immediately because I don't want to keep the representative waiting. As a result, I'll often go in a kind of a panic state and then tell them I don't know the answer and even think I don't know the answer at the time when I really do. Then if it's a question I can't answer, it's harder for me to know how to get the answer. If I have to end the call after things not being resolved and still have to resolve it later, I often lose track of what I talked about because of my short-term memory. It's hard for me to remember what questions were asked that I couldn't answer or what the representative told me. Sometimes when you make important phone calls, you have to ask follow-up questions in order to get yourself in the right direction to resolve an issue. Knowing how to ask the right follow-up questions is important because they can help you get the representative to get you to the right place. However, I struggle with not knowing how to ask the right follow-up questions at the right time because there is so much information I'm trying to process at the same time during this so-called crucial period of time. I want to do what I can to get the problem resolved at the time, and sometimes it can be surprisingly complicated. You have to really think on your feet as opposed to talking with someone in person. Many times, you have to talk to several people. The person you talk to may have to direct you to someone else, and this can cause you to be forwarded to several people sometimes. In order to do this effectively, you have to address the problem clearly so the different people can know who to direct you to that can help you better. Sometimes when this happens, you have to re-explain things over and over again, which can be mentally draining if it's a complicated thing to explain, and it's tough to articulate what to say. There is also the worry of being accidentally cut off, such as you accidentally hanging up or losing signal or your phone losing battery power. If you are 98% done resolving an issue but you get cut off, there's a high chance you'll have to talk to a different representative when you call back, and you have to do everything over again. This can be exhausting for someone on the autism spectrum who struggles with executive functioning, multitasking, articulation sometimes, and short-term memory. Talking on the phone to a friend is definitely a lot easier than an important phone call with a customer service rep. However, talking on the phone with a friend can still be hard for me, as well as many other people with autism for a variety of reasons too. So I'm going to briefly talk about that now. When you talk to someone in person, you don't always have to talk. You can relax, sit around, and then when you want to talk, you can then just talk again. However, when you're on the phone, you have to talk the whole time, and sometimes that can be stressful, depending on the person. For example, if you don't have anything to say at the moment, there's the fear of the other person on the other end feeling bored or feel offended that you don't have that much to say, as opposed to hanging out in the person where you're just relaxing and it doesn't really matter as much. You can both eat, watch a movie, play a game, or chill during times when you don't talk. However, silent pauses on the phone, on the other hand, are awkward. The second reason why it can be hard to talk to friends on the phone as opposed to in person is that you're both forced to pay attention to each other's voices. I find that can be stressful at times. For example, there may be times where there's external factors going on that could be stressing me out, such as work or things going on in the house, like things I gotta do in the yard, and this can cause my voice to sound more tense, stressed, or even edgy. This could cause the other person to mistakenly think I'm upset at them when I'm really not, and they can take it out of context and feel offended. When you're talking to that person in person, on the other hand, you can always smile while you talk, or you use other facial expressions while you're talking, and then that person, if they hear you have an edgy voice, realize you're actually not upset with them because of your facial expressions, like you smiling when you talk. Well, in this video, I have talked about many different reasons why it's hard for people like me with autism to talk on the phone. Do you have autism and struggle with talking on the phone? Are you someone such as a friend or a parent that knows someone on the autism spectrum that admittedly struggles talking on the phone? If so, please stay tuned. I am going to post another video where I talk about the different strategies I've learned that significantly help making talking on the phone much easier. In that video, I am going to list 11 different strategies to make talking on the phone easier, so stay tuned. If you like my channel and haven't yet hit the notification bell, please do so, because it would be great not so much for me, but for everyone's benefit. Please stay healthy, safe, keep being informed, embrace your interests, and most importantly, love yourself, because love is the way. Thanks for watching and have a great day.